The content, views, and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the producer and do not necessarily reflect the view and opinions of the City of Bremerton, BCAT, their officials, or their employees.
Hello and welcome to Leadership Kitsap Alumni Spotlight, where both the host and guest are alumni of our 10-month leadership development course. This program shines a spotlight on just one of several hundred graduates who have given countless hours of their time and effort to make things happen through leadership. I'm your host, Peter Tunis, from the class of 2023, and joining me today is Karisha Stanley from the class of 2024. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. Such a pleasure, such an honor.
Yeah, well, I guess tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, a little bit about myself. I grew up military, so both my parents were in the Navy, so that had me traveling up and down the West Coast and really growing up in the Pacific. I like to say Hawaii was really, that raised me because there was a lot of formative years spent there. And then once they retired, we just settled here in Washington, but the military was not done with me then. I then married into military and then had me in Texas and Colorado. So just love the opportunity to travel. Outside of that, you'll find me hiking, taking road trips, out in the community, watching movies, or maybe ranting about one of my favorite TV shows or things like that, maybe a book or anything like that, or constantly engaging in some learning content. It's pretty much me.
Nice. Well, I'm jealous of the Hawaii part. So tell us a little bit about your leadership journey through Leadership Kitsap.
I'm so thankful that I got the opportunity to join Leadership Kitsap. So class of 2024, best class ever. But before I got into Leadership Kitsap, I was just mentioning to you that I kind of, like, if I was called upon to lead, I would kind of reluctantly kind of step into it. But after Leadership Kitsap, I was more enthusiastic, ready, looking for leadership positions. What could I lean into? How can I help bring something to life? And so I'm almost sort of finding myself at this next phase of my life where I'm a bit more confident. I'm ready to step into roles with more responsibility, looking to uplift others and help them on their leadership journey. So Leadership Kitsap really set the stage for me to who you're seeing today and who I go out when I'm in community and I'm helping others as well.
No, that's awesome. And so I got to kind of see some of your journey with class of 2024. Could you tell us a little bit about your journey through class 2024 and maybe the community project you worked on?
Yeah, so I went into the cohort saying, I told everyone, I am an introvert cosplaying as an extrovert. However, one of the first things that we do is kind of like this personality test, and by golly, I'm still considered an extrovert through and through, so trying to lean into that and really kind of found a great little community through my team, through other extroverts that are in there. We all had values around integrity, family, fitness, and things like that. So we found a community partner that could help us bridge those values and kind of aligned with it as well. So we partnered with the Kitsap History Museum, and we put on a downtown history walk where we walked the community members through the various historic buildings. We had QR codes that they could scan if they wanted to learn more about these historic buildings. We talked about the way that the downtown Bremerton area has changed from, way back in the 30s to what we see today and the different ebb and flow of businesses, how pretty much, the shipyard or the Puget Sound Naval Station has always been a core component, but the businesses have always kind of changed, the people who visit those spaces. So we just really wanted to highlight that, give an opportunity for families, community to come together, see what's changed, see what still exists, and learn together about downtown Bremerton.
No, a cool community project and lots of cool stuff going on downtown too, with like the Quincy project that's kind of going on too.
So excited.
So you did a lot of stuff during that year. Could you tell us a little bit about your continuing involvement in Leadership Kitsap?
I'm always looking for ways to continue to be involved with this organization. Hands down, one of the greatest things to happen to me in the sense that now I am so much more aware of what's happening in the community. they're always looking to stretch as well. If you're looking to grow, I love how they continue to think of me and say, hey, would you be interested in this? Would you want to be a project co-chair? So I'm coming back from last year. Now I'm helping guide the next class and helping them shape their projects as well. Leadership Kitsap also, I feel like they saw something in me that I don't think that I had identified in myself yet. Inviting me to speak at the 2024 Kitsap Women's Summit was such a big deal because I wanted to say no, but I didn't. And it's because of something in Leadership Kitsap where that knee-jerk reaction, I sit on that for a little bit and I say, okay, we can nudge ourselves out of our comfort zone a little bit. What can we grow from? How can we grow? What can we take away? And it continues to be one of the best experiences. So project co-chair, being involved with the Women's Summit, celebrating all the amazing talent and good work that people are doing in our community by being an MC at the 20 under 40. Just again, Leadership Kitsap has just really done a great job of giving me opportunities to give back and stay involved.
Yeah, so I guess we could talk a little bit about each one of those things. So loved your class. You and Kate Davis, both great fit for Project Co-Chair.
Shout out to Kate.
Coming back and mentoring this year's small teams with their community projects. Could you tell us a little bit how that's been?
That's been really fun, honestly. I think in the beginning, just trying to determine how do we engage this new cohort, right? Because everyone has a different sort of learning style, conversation style. And so how do I align myself with them to that way I'm supporting them in a way that feels meaningful to them? It's great having another project co-chair where you can kind of bounce ideas off of, or say, hey, you know what, maybe you might be a good fit to talk to this team, and then I'll try to talk to this other team. It's just lets you know that you're not walking alone on this journey. I do appreciate that it's basically put me into this project manager role, so gaining some experience on basically helping 6 projects come to life, from initiation to the end game where we're putting on an event. So I love the experience I'm gaining with that, helping keep things on track. And of course, it allows me to still utilize my wonderful task list that I love to have and just check off there. So just a great experience, and so happy to see the next class just marching towards their own graduation.
Yeah, no, I for me, I love the difference in perspective. So class 2023 were the first one kind of coming out of the pandemic. So I think that shaped a certain way, but I felt like your class really lively, this class really lively, and then to be out of the role of focusing as a small group on your project, but to see kind of the good, the bad, and the ugly of life happening for this group of people in this cohort. It's an interesting difference in perspective.
Absolutely, because before I was only focused on my group, really my task. Yes, I heard updates about the other teams, but of course at the time I'm like, we have to get our project done. So that was really the priority and my focus. As a project co-chair, I love the opportunity to sort of zoom out and look at it more of a macro level. Also take in some of the content differently, with the different challenge days. It's different when you're in the cohort, kind of the student of all of this, and then being an observer, being able to have low stakes, but still be able to engage and take in all this content. Just really love the perspective change.
Yeah. Also love the difference in interest and perspectives. Like every class and every team is a little bit different, but what motivates them, kind of what's their big purpose, why. It's kind of fun to see that kind of come together. And hopefully it aligns with whatever their project is.
For what I can tell, yeah. I mean, a lot of these are some great projects this year, because it's again another opportunity to learn about organizations that exist within our community. One of them I had never heard of, and it just sounds so beautiful. I don't want to spoil it because it is coming out here, and I want to give them an opportunity to promote in the way that they want to. But just really gets us out engaging with some animals in a therapeutic way that I don't think has been promoted. So I'm really excited to see that project take shape, along with the other 5 projects. It's wonderful to be part of, and then to see their happiness as they start, having the tangibles come in, the partners are communicating, the synergy is going. It's great energy.
Yeah, and the hope with that is we have a good I guess whatever the project is ends up being a hit with the whatever the partner is and with the small team, and hopefully they're motivated to continue more community service going forward as part of the.
That's part of the criteria, is basically trying to shape a project that could be sustained once they walk away. And I think that's an important aspect about Leadership Kitsap. It's not just creating a bunch of one and dones and then we're walking away. They want it to be sustainable. We want to give the partner, the community partner we're working with, sort of a blueprint so they can continue on with whether it's an event, whether it's a training, whatever that look like, so it doesn't just go away once the cohort stops.
Yeah, and you know, your team's community project is a great example of that. Like that's a project that, you know, is sustainable and should endure. You know,
every spring, yeah, exactly. Kitsap History Museum, if they got capacity or wanted to pull us back in, we could help facilitate that sort of community walk. And like you said, so much has already changed from last year. Because now 4th Street is under construction because they're starting Quincy Square. So there's always something to see, something to learn about the downtown business area.
And actually, I got caught in the traffic of that. I was helping Carly and Sarah put away the stuff from the 20 Under 40 Gala. Why don't we talk about that? So you were the MC for the 20 Under 40 Gala. So tell us about your experience with that.
That was so fun. Another one where I was like, I don't know if I want to be another speaker, but turns out I'm actually really enjoying public speaking. So it was an opportunity for me to do what I love to do, and that's to celebrate the wins that other people are getting, celebrate the amazing talents, celebrate achievements. I was a co-MC with Matt Osberger, who really, really set me up with a nice alley-oop as far as how to prepare, even as far as like what size font I should print my notes on so I could read them. Just really great tidbits for me. And then I just got to go out and then meet with all the honorees and just tell them, hey, you were doing amazing work, and then just get out there and share with the audience why they're being rewarded. And to me, that was so fulfilling. That really filled my cup, just to be able to honor the amazing work being done in our community.
Yeah, and you know, I've volunteered the last 2 years at that event, but I love that there's the kind of a positive event like that in the community.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of great people that make that go, like Michelle Perdue and David Emmons and a whole bunch of other people. But yeah, I think you and I talked about it. Like, there's a lot of negativity in the world, a lot of things that you can get inundated with. So like to have an event like the 20 Under 40 Gala, it's like, oh, there's good things happening, and there's good things happening right here. It's kind of a nice.
And I think that's an important thing to take time for, especially I think the 20 Under 40, because a lot of us, or I had the kind of thinking that, oh, you don't do big things until after you're 40 or in your 50s, and it's great to say, but no, you can do great things at any age, and we're going to specifically highlight those under the age of 40 who are taking the initiative to do amazing things in our community.
Mm-hmm. So I think we have the second Women's Summit coming up, and it sold out really quick. You talked a little bit about speaking at that. Could you tell us a little bit more about the Women's Summit and your experience with that?
Yeah. So again, my first kind of big nudge into the public speaking arena. But so my topic when I spoke last year was around building a toxicity toolkit to basically survive that. This year I'm not going to be speaking, just truly going to be an attendee to take in all that yummy content. But last year, I wasn't quite sure what I could say that people had not already heard before, but then the more I thought about it, the more I thought, okay, there is something that I can add to this conversation. So I covered things such as, engaging in learning opportunities. The more strategies we have in our tool belt for dealing with conflict or toxic environments and stuff, the more we are easier to, be aware of it and call it in, call it out, and then implement strategies to help resolve what is going on. I also talked about the need to also be ready to inject positivity. We talked about this, negativity can definitely breed more negativity. You enter a space, someone's being negative, they leave, and you're like, now why am I grumpy? So just taking some time to try to inject positivity into the space, because we all know that, you do one good thing, no one asked you for that, but that has a ripple effect, and now they're doing something nice, and it just on and on it goes. But also to remember that, outside of the strategies, outside of learning, outside of injecting positivity, another important thing is to know when it's time to take a break for yourself, pour back into yourself, protect your peace, right? Because it's refilling our own energy that allows us to have energy to get back in the rodeo and continue to try to create positive workplaces, community environments, and things of that such.
Yeah, I think the positive leadership curriculum, I think it's the lesson on resilience, kind of talks about that, like your battery. But
being mindful,
understanding your capacity, and then when you need to recharge it as well. And then I'm horrible at that personally, but yeah, it is important.
It's really hard. It's
Yeah.
really hard because, you want to show up for all things. It's really hard for me to even say no, especially when I feel like, oh, this is a wonderful cause. I believe in this. I want to help get this off the ground. But as I'm finding out, we can't say no to everything. And just because I'm saying no, that doesn't mean I can't offer support. I can't give, words of encouragement or things like that. But it's just knowing what is my capacity in that moment. What's my battery? Because when my battery is full, I'm at my best self. That means you're going to get my best. The community gets my best. My family gets my best. And so I really try really, really hard to be mindful of that.
Yeah, no, and you bring a lot to the table. I actually have a good memory of it's at the end of the signature programs year, the reflections day. You had a really remarkable reflection. Let's see. So I guess we've talked a lot about the different programs. Let's talk more about you.
Yeah.
So can you tell us like any mentors that you feel like have really influenced you in your journey, in your life?
So, well, obviously I have to give a shout out to all of Leadership Kitsap. So the leadership from my cohort, 2024, Peter, you were like such a great presence for my team in the cohort, just your bubbling personality, not afraid to kind of put yourself out there. The executive director, training program, they were all really influential for me in the sense that, again, they saw something in me that I had not yet identified in myself. And so they would give me these opportunities to kind of stretch my knowledge, stretch my experience. So I'm so appreciative of that. On my work side, though, at the Housing Authority, there's one particular person that really stands out, and that's Carlita Alaguera. Shout out to you. But I just remember her pathway, I just found it so inspiring, where it was kind of unconventional, kind of starting at entry level. And then now she's now a director at the agency. And just, I was so inspired by her story, the way that she's able to see the big picture, the way that she supports teams. And so maybe she doesn't realize it yet, but I've always kind of looked at her kind of as a mentor of how things could be, how an inclusive leadership could look like, and things like that. So even from afar, I feel like she has helped shape who I am, how I show up in the workplace.
And then could you talk a little bit about like some of your primary driving like values in life?
Yeah, so for me, I always like to say, if I had house words, if you will, they would be family, duty, honor. Family is always going to come first for me, and then duty, and then do it with honor and things like that. So I really try to live by that. If I'm out in community, if I'm at job, or just wherever I'm at in that time, if I'm doing something, would I be okay if my family were to see me doing what I'm doing, like that? So that really does drive me in the workplace to succeed. Plus, I think being the oldest child out of 3 children is also sort of drives me to always try to have to set a better example, to kind of be that role model for my younger siblings, even though we're all grown. Now that I'm leaning into leadership, I want them to say, look at your older sister now. Look what she's capable of doing. Look how she's, driving change and trying to be a positive voice in people's lives, and showing up, and not just saying that I will, but I'm actually showing up and doing the work.
And then, so what are some things that you're doing as far as like personal development?
All the time learning. I'm always engaging in some type of learning. I went back to school, and even though now I'm like, whose idea was this, in the middle of full-time work, but I just really enjoy opportunities to take in more content. I'm learning about business right now. That's what I went back to school for. Whether it's picking up a new book, whether it's checking out a how-to video on YouTube, just whatever opportunities I can just to learn more and kind of expand my knowledge base. I am completely aware that you can gain education, gain experience outside of your formal channels, such as a structured school environment, but also I really appreciate the school environment, but I appreciate what can be learned on the outside. Nowadays, we see people becoming business owners through like their TikTok videos or social media. They're starting businesses. So I'm completely aware there's more than one pathway to get to learning and education and experience.
And actually, I'll double back. So on like your mentor inspiration, do you have any like examples? I guess ways that your mentors have inspired you.
Yeah, so I would say So on the work front, what inspires me is that when it's time to have difficult conversations, it's framed in a way that it feels like it can still hold people with tenderness, willing to admit I don't have all the information, but here's what I have now. I really appreciate that because growing up and working and so forth, I've been around leaders where they just want to kind of keep everything on the background, and you're kind of left wondering. And so you're jumping to your own conclusions. You're talking about it at the water cooler, trying to figure out what's going on, and that's not always beneficial. So I can always appreciate a leader who's willing to just talk honestly and openly about what's going on and admitting, what I tell you today, it might be different next week, but I want you to be in the know. And then as far as Leadership Kitsap specifically, it's really about seeing something in me that I had not yet identified in myself, having confidence in me or what I could be. Just saying, hey, would you want to speak at the women's, summit? Hey, would you want to come back and be a project co chair? Do you want to be a part of an MC type of thing? Do you want to learn some curriculum in case you want to come back and teach in the next cohort? So again, just continuing to believe in me, see how I could grow within the organization, I think has been so uplifting and a confidence boost, truly.
Yeah, no, and very much deserved. So do you think you'll come back and teach some of the?
I don't know if I'll come back and teach, but I'm always open to hearing however I can stay involved in Leadership Kitsap. It's really opened up my eyes to things that are going on in the community, things I didn't know existed, businesses, happenings, all of that. So yeah, I really believe in the vision as far as growing future leaders. I do believe in the power of building relationships. So yes, if Leadership Kitsap is willing to keep thinking of me, then I'm ready to continue to keep showing up.
And I guess we haven't talked a lot about your the Bremerton Housing Authority. Do you want to talk a little bit about some of the things you have going on there?
Yeah, so right now I'm really excited that I got to be part of a project. We're getting ready to open up a new property where we're going to be working with one of the school districts to house students and families out of that school district at this specific property. However, I'm glad I was able to come in and kind of be a voice to say, hey, how can we make this community-led, use the community voices? And leaders were open to that. So now we've got some other organizations that are helping us. We've got a third party helping us where we did focus groups to meet with different people in the community to find out, what does a home look like? What are some of the barriers that you face? If we're building something, a property, for you, what would make this feel like a home? And it really does shift the paradigm where it used to be the provider would say, here's what you need, I'm going to give it to you. And now we're saying, what do you need so we can figure out how to give it to you? And I love that change in approach.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, and housing, it's been an issue. It will continue to be an issue.
It will. It's tricky. It's layered. It's complex. We didn't get here overnight, so it's not going to be an overnight solution. Even when we look at the people who are dealing with housing instability and homelessness, they didn't choose, to be like that. Their life circumstances. Maybe it was a medical bill that that kind of put them in a hard financial spot, and then that ripple effect. We don't know. So it's just remembering those human elements, remembering some compassion, and being willing to think outside the box where we can, and being willing to do something different to get something different.
Yeah, and compassion is big. I liked what you're talking about with workplace transparency. So my job. I'm here just doing volunteer stuff today, but my normal job with the Navy. Kind of an uncertain time with the workforce, and people have lots of questions. But I've actually found it really refreshing. The leadership team where I'm at, it's like, okay, this a lot of this is really unfortunate. There's a lot of uncertainty. But how do we tell people what we do actually know? And then the same kind of thing. It's like it might change tomorrow, but we're trying to be as transparent as we can and authentic and compassionate, understanding each person that has these questions is a person.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Human elements,
Yeah.
human elements. And I love that because I'm in HR, so that really resonates with me. So it's like, to me, it's like the best of both worlds. You've got compliance and then you've got relationships and things like that. So yeah, figuring out how do we hold individuals who are confused, who are feeling, like they just want to understand what's going on, want to know what does it mean for them, having these conversations and say, hey, I may not have all the answers, but I'm at least here to listen if you've got something that you want to talk about. And I think that that's a beautiful thing that I can offer.
And it's definitely a balance. And so, like, I guess that's one of the things I've loved about, interacting with you and doing things like Leadership Kitsap is kind of the human element. Because the human resources side, I think it's very easy to be like a data-driven person and it's a spreadsheet and here's the thing. But like, you have the human element come back in. It's like, so for instance, one of the things facing the federal workforce right now is whether they're going to let go a whole bunch of probationary employees. And so, sure, you can see a bunch of names on a sheet, but like when you have back from supervisors like, well, no, this is a family that moved here from Virginia, from Colorado, from Florida, from Texas, wherever, and like they uprooted their whole life, and
oh my gosh,
now we're potentially saying, just kidding, like that's. Yeah, obviously that would, the human element is like that. Well, that doesn't seem right.
Right. Someone just got the rug pulled out from under them, and they're thinking about how am I going to make mortgage, how am I going to make rent, and so. Thinking that yes, there's still business needs and all of that, but how can you make whatever that decision that comes down a bit less painful or a gut punch, as they say, to help them navigate these times of uncertainty. And so, again, I may not have all the answers, but I like the opportunity to connect with people and say, you don't have to walk this journey alone. Let's do this together.
Which I think is a big part of being a project co-chair too. Is just kind of walking alongside people. I guess kind of balancing between the Leadership Kitsap and the workplace thing. But I think for a lot of people, it's showing people that you're not hiding any cards and you're doing what you can. Yeah,
and I think that goes a long way because again, I think. When we think of integrity and all that, humility, we don't expect you to know everything. It's almost impossible to know everything, right? There are just certain things that we cannot and will not know because there's so much knowledge out there. There's so many things that change. There's so many factors that might influence other things. So if you could be transparent with that and say that, I'm going to make the best decision with the information that I have in this moment. And if things should change, I'm going to revisit this conversation. I do think that that's about all, your workforce would ask of leaders at this time. And as far as me, then I continue to say, how can I stay engaged? How can I maybe inject some positivity, even if it's just through laughter? I'm always big, like, what funny movies are we watching? Just to gain some levity here so it doesn't seem like it's doom and gloom.
All right. Well, it looks like we're run out of time, but thank you for coming here today, Karisha. I loved hearing your journey. And thank you for joining us for this episode of Leadership Kitsap Alumni Spotlight. If you want to become part of a vibrant team working to build a new and continuing source of fine leaders right here in Kitsap County, reach out to us online at leadershipkitsap.org, on Instagram and Facebook. For the Leadership Kitsap Alumni Spotlight, I'm Peter Tunis. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.